dragged all these cement blocks from down at the cabin, and now I am leveling this spot out. I decided that I should put this shed down by the cabin out here, because when I break down the canvas tent instead of by the cabin, because when I break the canvas tent down, it's going to go in here along with all the gardening tools, and I just figured it was better to get the first shed set up by the garden, so I had a place to store all the garden stuff. And I figured this winter, if anybody comes and robs the cabin when I'm not here, maybe they won't go up the road and mess with the shed, you know. But hopefully we don't have to deal with that. But just in case, we're still going to build one down by the cabin too, but I probably will wait until next spring to do that one. Because I mainly just need a spot. Another reason why I want it up here is because during the summer I need a place to take a shower that doesn't have mosquitoes. You know, and I want that to be up by the canvas tent here. And also another building's gonna go over here. My mom, I think, is actually gonna buy another Amish building like the one I have and put it up the road here. So then she has a camp to stay in when she wants to come up here. And then I'll have a building that I can either keep staff in when I'm doing a bigger garden, you know, have like, once I have multiple garden spaces and I need extra people here for help, I'll have that. And then I can also rent it out during hunting season. So that's the goal right now, is just to get this all level. This side is higher than this side, so I gotta dig these down, and hopefully I can get it level without coming too close to the ground. But we don't want this thing too high off the ground anyways, because we might have to load equipment into this thing. You know, like the wood chipper is gonna have to go in here. Yeah, it'll be nice having it by the canvas tent, more handy. Alright, well, I'm gonna get going on this. I'll bring you guys back when I'm getting ready to build the platform in the floor. Alright, it's all leveled out. We got the 4x4 skids down. So now I just gotta start hauling the 2x6 treated lumber for the floor, for the base of the platform. And we won't connect them to the skids until we got the base all squared and completely put together, and then we'll attach them to the skids, and that way we should be able to move this building pretty easily if we need to. Oh, the weather looks like it's getting ugly on me. Look at this sucker getting her built slowly but surely. Got the skids all right where they're supposed to be, and the frame of this is square. So now I just got to cut the rest of the joists, the floor joists, and stick them in there, and then the frame will be done. And then we got to put on the plywood, but the plywood isn't waterproof, so when I put the plywood on, I'm either going to have to cover it with a tarp, or I'm going to have to build this whole thing really quick and get a roof on it. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to want to get into that tonight, because I don't think we'll get it all taken care of before it rains next. So get this situated, and then probably have to wait, I don't know, a day and a half. I think it's going to rain again, not tomorrow, but the next day. But it's coming along. All flat and even, squared out. Going better than all my other projects used to go. I think I'm getting a hang of this. Alright, all framed out. Like I said, it's probably going to rain later tonight, so I'm probably not going to put that plywood down yet. But tomorrow, once the rain's done, we'll put the plywood down and then frame out the walls. And we'll probably frame out the trusses too at the same time while we have the platform all freed up. And then we'll put the trusses off to the side. We'll put the walls up and then put the trusses up. Let's see if I can do this on my own. It's looking pretty good though. This is really sturdy. It doesn't creak or anything. It's Much more sturdier than the platform that the canvas tent's on. Next year I'm gonna have to take that down and take it apart and cut all the ends off even. Whoa, mosquitoes. Looking good so far. You hear the excavator next door, but look at whatever these little bugs are. They're going hard. They were going hard on the potatoes, but they were done, so we pulled most of those up. I left one plant so they could keep going hard on it, wouldn't move to other stuff. But now they're on these watermelons, but the watermelons aren't really doing anything. That's the biggest one I have here. So, I don't know. Watermelons aren't gonna finish, I guess. But I don't know what these bugs are. They're just eating all the leaf matter though, and mating with each other constantly. Look at that thing. Man, that is a giant pumpkin. That's another giant pumpkin right there. Big bastard. Yeah. Got a lot of pumpkins still coming up, and a couple of the butternut squash hidden in there. Still yellow squash coming up, but pretty much those are finishing up. And zucchini, I left a couple of them on there so they could swell and get seeds, but they're not really producing any more now. And it's September 4th today. Everything's yellowing up too. Combination of the cold, and I haven't fed any of this stuff in a long time, so the grass we put down is probably broken down completely already, and this thing could probably use some fertilization, but it's just pumpkins finishing, so I'm just gonna let them finish. I can't believe how big that thing is though. The stem on it is like, man, like a baby's wrist, or like a toddler's wrist. Thing's huge. Got broccoli too. The broccoli didn't get really big, but I do got fresh broccoli coming up every couple days now, so that's cool. Now that it's colder, that stuff is starting to go off. I just cut those tops off and cook them up. They're delicious. Tomatoes are still all green, but a couple of them are just about to start turning another color, and usually as soon as I get the first bit of red on them, I cut them off. And then as you start doing that, all the rest of the plant will start producing more tomatoes and finishing up. But it's getting cold up here already, you know? Out here in the North Country, September, it's already cold. At night, it's like, I don't know, 45 degrees or something right now. And first frost last year was October 4th, so 1 month from now. So once that happens, everything's pretty much done. And that was the first hard frost, like real frost, that killed plants off and stuff, according to the neighbors. So there was probably a couple of light frost even at the end of September. But leaves are already changing too. You can't see it on this birch, but some of the maples have already started turning orange, which is my favorite time of the year. So I'm super psyched. Excavator is going crazy over on the next property. Look like this, he has a big sandbar over there. It looks like they're removing that. And my neighbor's gonna start putting organic material on it and building the sandbar up so it's can be part of his pasture. Because he has like a, I don't know, like a 3 or 4 acre strip of sandbar in the middle of his pasture that he needs to rehabilitate and turn into like good soil. Yeah, so fall is on its way. Summer will be over in another 2 weeks. Season 2 will be over in another 2 weeks. Day 2, it's actually day 3, but we didn't work on day 2. So it's day 2 of building. Got the platform down, although I don't really have the right screws, so I'm not putting it all down. I just have it down flat enough that I can build the walls on it. And I'm gonna have to run to town at some point, or have someone bring them to me. But I don't know, we'll see what I decide to do there. But the first wall is done. Those birch trees are just holding on to it for a little while for me. And I'm gonna get the second wall, side wall done, and then do the back wall, and then the front wall. The door, the plans I have, the door was supposed to be in front here, but I want the door to be right here. So I gotta configure these plans a little differently, and hopefully I don't mess it up. And that way I can have my door here. To have the door here, there'll be ice and snow coming off the building in that direction. So it's dangerous to have the door there. And I'd rather just have the door in front. I think it'll be better if you're facing the canvas tent, you know. And you can keep an eye on it during the summer. Alright, well, 3 more walls to go. Day 131, hauling water. Still hauling a little bit of water to the greenhouse. Pretty much only 10 gallons a day, so it's just one trip I have to make. But last night it got pretty cold. When I woke up it was like 42 degrees, and I just went and got water without a long sleeve shirt on, and no bug dope either. I can't believe it. Almost all the mosquitoes. I've seen like 3 or 4 mosquitoes. I've been sitting here for a while, so I'll see a mosquito eventually here. But the clouds of mosquitoes are gone. Over the last week, they have died off with the cold temperatures. So it's September 6th today, 2019. Day 136 we've been out here. And the mosquitoes are finally gone. So the next 2 months, from now until when the snow comes, is the best time of the year to be out in Maine and be out at a property like this. And hunting season starts. You can actually do early goose right now, and then duck season starts, and then regular goose season, and then partridge or gruff grouse season, and pheasant season, and then deer season. So it's all happening. Fall in Maine, best time of the year. Not much leaf changeover yet, but it has started. I have a couple trees on my property that have turned bright orange. Maple trees too, so the leaf changeover has officially started as well. Fall is here. I mean, it's not officially here for another like 2 weeks almost, but up here, this far north, it's starting for sure. Alright, so there's wall number 4. And it has the header and everything for the entrance. So it's gonna be pretty heavy, but I gotta move it out of the way so we're gonna build trusses right here. I got 6 of those to build. So that's gonna take me the rest of today and half of tomorrow. And then it's gonna rain tomorrow. So I don't know when we'll be able to finish this. Sun's setting over camp. You can see some leaf change over there. Packing all this stuff up, getting it all cleaned up. I'm having a hard time doing the 25-degree angle I need to do on this thing. That's a pretty hard cut with a circular saw, so I'm trying to get them really straight, but it's not going so great. But I'm gonna take those 2 panels up. I only screwed them down with like 5 screws, and I'm gonna put them in the pile and cover them tonight because it's gonna be rain all day tomorrow, and I want to keep this stuff as dry as I can. And tomorrow's Saturday, so on Sunday it's gonna clear up and be nice again, and hopefully I can get this project finished. The mill did deliver the pine board, the tongue and groove that's gonna go on the outside, so I have pretty much everything to finish this project. I am thinking though I want to put building wrap on it, so I might have to run to town at some point, or I think someone might be coming up to visit me sometime soon, and if they go through town, I'm gonna have them pick it up. But I'll need it in the next 2 or 3 days, so if nobody comes out, I might have to run out there. But I want to put building wrap on this building because eventually I'll probably insulate this building, and you want to have building wrap on it so it doesn't get moisture exchange things going on. You know, moisture will get trapped in between the insulation and the wood. But if it has that some Tyvek like building wrap, it shouldn't do that. Oh, still some major mosquitoes. I was so excited this morning because they were so cold they weren't out. But once it got warm today, a lot of them came back out. So I don't know. It's gonna be cold again tonight. I don't know how many more cold nights we need before these mosquitoes go away. They're just the really big ones too right now. It's like the biggest ones I've seen all year is what I see right now. They're the hardy ones. Oh, I gotta get those boards up in the pile. I'll tell you what, This solar panel, oh, blind you with a light. This solar panel, when it's cool in the morning and you got a lot of sunshine, this thing produces a lot of power. I just charged one of these. Okay, first of all, let's back up. Last night I went to use the battery pack and it wouldn't come on. And I knew that it wasn't dead. And I did some watering and I think I might have splashed it lightly with a little bit of water. I mean, I don't think I did. I was trying not to, but that's the only thing I could think of that could have happened. And it wouldn't come on last night, so I couldn't charge my phone, I couldn't charge anything. So I was all bummed all night. And then this morning, I plugged it into the solar panel and it started charging, and it came on, said it was at 80% battery. So and then I plugged in my charger for my Milwaukee gear. And I just charged this up in like 15 minutes, this thing charged up. I got another battery on there right now. We're working on the shed and we need power. So anyways, I don't know, when I unhook it from the solar panel, hopefully it still works. I don't know why the battery pack wasn't coming on. I flipped all the buttons, I flipped everything, and it wasn't coming on. So I don't know why it did that, but as soon as I plugged it into the panel, it came on. But like I was saying, this panel, in the morning when it's cool, and the sun is high in the sky, it puts out a lot of power. You can charge anything. I mean, my laptop charges super quick. It charges just as quick as if it was plugged in the house. You know, the 100 watts is enough. And throughout the day though, once that black surface gets warm and gets hot, it starts producing less power. And in August, in the end of July and beginning of August, when I was putting this out, I would get really good power in the morning, and as soon as it got to like 11 o'clock in the morning, it would get too hot, and it would still produce power, but it would produce power really slowly. Like, in the morning when it's cool, this thing charges super fast, but it'll slow down as it gets warm. So that's something to consider with your solar panel. If you're in the desert and you're realizing, well, I'm getting full sun all day, desert sun, but I'm still not getting a good charge on my stuff, or it's charging really slow, it's because the panel's too hot. It's not because your panel isn't performing right. It's because solar panels in general perform better when they're cool. So I'm going to test that this winter. They say that your solar panel will work in winter conditions, you know, as long as it's not overcast. You know, the days that it's sunny and winter, you know, like winter, I mean, it's below 30 degrees every single day. In Maine, we have a couple weeks where it's negative 20 at this location. So I don't think my solar panel will work at negative 20. But it says it will definitely work down to 0 degrees, so I'm going to test that because this is the only power we have. So anytime we spend out here this winter, which won't be the whole winter, but anytime we spend out here, we still need power. Eventually, hopefully I'll be able to afford a windmill because I'm in a wind corridor, and there's actually commercial windmills right down the road. And my land is really high, so I can get my windmill above the trees really easily. So that's what I'm going to do for winter power eventually, but that's $1,500, so that's down the road. I need to go back to work and everything. This solar panel though is working really good, and in fall and spring it works really good because it doesn't really get hot enough, or at least it doesn't get hot until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the panel will finally have warmed up to that temperature where it starts not working so great. The panel and battery was a good investment. I mean, that's all the power I've had this entire summer. And I've done all these building projects. I keep all my Milwaukee gear going. I keep my laptop going, my phone going. Yeah, the tablet going. This solar panel definitely worked out. So 100 watt Rockpal solar panel, I recommend. Trying to get these trusses done, but the angles I'm cutting are not right. They're not tight enough. Supposed to be 25 degrees is what the plan says, but I don't know. I'm thinking that I'm going to just lay it out like this and try to mark them from here and then cut them and see how that goes. But I don't want to waste too many boards, you know. I have to do center pieces here that are 19 inches, so I can use these boards for that still. But I'm getting to the point where I don't have any extra boards really. to be messing them up. So I don't know, I guess I'm gonna mark them here, and then cut them to the corner and see if that looks like it's gonna fit, and then go to the other side. And as long as it's 96 inches across along that bottom edge, then it should work. So I'm trying to make like a jig here to speed this up, but this is the first one. It's taken me a couple hours to get to this point because I'm just thinking a lot about what it's going on, because it's not working out for me. But I don't know, wish me luck here. Well, it took 4 cuts. That didn't work, but now it's pretty good. Lines up, looks pretty good, and it's all lined up in the middle. I gotta make a middle brace right here and then put the gussets on, and that's the one that actually fit. I'm leaving that as a template so I can cut the next 5 of them just using that. I'm just gonna trace that out, and that should work a lot better than what I was trying to do. I don't know, I was measuring 25 degrees on that thing, but maybe that little square there isn't really what I'm supposed to be using for this. I don't know. Guess I need a protractor maybe or something. I don't really know, but it's lined up now and it looks straight and even. So I'm gonna put the gussets on, and I gotta cut a piece here. Measure this and cut that piece, because we want a middle brace in this roof too, because we get snow load here. So slow going on this first one, but once it's done, I should have the template laid out, and the next 5 should go a lot quicker, hopefully. Taking a break from building to get some water. Look at that. That's a fresh moose track. And see that thing in the back? I think that means it's a male. Pretty sure. Look at that. 2 dots back there, big hoof. I'm pretty sure that's a male moose. I mean, that's usually how you tell the difference between a male deer and a female deer. So I think it's the same with moose. Because that can't be a deer. That would be the biggest damn deer I've ever seen. That's from this morning. Went right down the trail. And these started pretty much at the outhouse, so he made it to the outhouse and then probably decided to turn around. But these things are in rut right now, which makes them the most dangerous animal in Maine right now. So I gotta keep an eye out for this guy, because he'll be huge. He'll have big antlers and ticks hanging all over him. He'll be angry and in the rut. So I've got to keep an eye out for him. He's probably gonna be around a lot the next couple weeks, because this is like the water crossings right at my property, so this is where they all cross, right here. So I had to keep an eye out on him. He's a beast. It'd be nice to get him on video camera though, because I bet you he's huge. And I've seen like 3 or 4 female moose this year, and then I've seen 3 or 4 female moose before I moved up here, just growing up in Maine. I don't think I've ever seen a bull moose before in Maine. I don't think I have. Not live. I haven't seen one. So it'd be nice to see him at least, but you don't want to be too close because they are dangerous animals. So that's where we just were. That's where the bull moose tracks are. But right here right across from him, this is female moose. These are from a female. And the female went up and around. And this bull must be chasing her. So definitely gotta keep an eye out for these giant creatures, because they're out here right now. They're doing their little weird thing that they do in the fall. Whoa. Look at this crazy mushroom. Crazy. Pretty cool. But it looks like that female moose came up my water trail. She's probably drinking out of the water hole. I gotta get that thing filled in and covered for the fall. But yeah, I see her track. She went up here. It's a pretty steep haul for a big moose. She probably was wishing she didn't take this trail. So that's her track right there. She did step over the hole and she didn't cave in the side, so I'm glad she didn't mess this up at all. Would have sucked if she stepped right here. A lot of the water probably would have drained out last night. Might not have been enough today to collect 20 gallons. But yeah, we're gonna fill this in with rocks and fill this in. Now that we're only using about 10 gallons a day of water, I can fill this in because the bucket definitely carries more than that. So I'm gonna do that in the next couple days. Well, that's the biggest watermelon we got this year. I'm not sure if it's one of those icebox ones or not. If it is, then it might be big enough that it's good. But all the other ones in the other garden that were only like a handful size, they weren't good. I mean, they tasted kind of sweet in the middle, but they didn't really finish. So I don't know, that one might be finished, but this plant is dying because it's about 42 degrees at night right now. So it's not liking it. Tomatoes are still going pretty hard. I started cutting some of the green ones off. Once they get big enough, I'm cutting them off and letting them ripen in a bag because they're not ripening on the vine. Probably just because they're too crowded in here. It's going pretty good. And this big hemp plant that I got, it's pretty much doing what hemp does. This is like a fiber hemp plant, looks like. Looks cool though. Broccoli over there, we've been cutting tops off broccolis and the second shoots are coming up now. That should still be growing. Well, just cleaning up the last of the potatoes. Look at that sucker. Some of these russet potatoes came out pretty weird. But I'm trying to get them bagged up and everything so they don't turn green. That one has a little bit of green on it. But should be fine for a little while. Bagging these suckers up and then putting them down in the cabin. That's the coolest, driest spot that I have. Probably have about 50 pounds of them, and I probably ended up with about 75 or 80 pounds in all out of that 1 5-pound bag of seed potatoes. So potatoes went well. They grow really good up here. Well, 6:30 at night, in between camp chores and this construction job, we only got the trusses done. Well, I'm working on the last one right now, but I should have it done tonight. But at least all 6 of those are done. The walls are done. So tomorrow is going to be the chore, the task of trying to put these walls up by myself. So I am going to go to the neighbor's tomorrow morning, and he says he has a bunch of ladders for me to choose from. And I really just need one that opens up in an A, you know, like a freestanding ladder. So if I can get a freestanding ladder, I should be able to put like braces out from the first 2 sidewalls, brace the first 2 sidewalls up, and then, like I was saying, brace the 2 sidewalls up, and then I should be able to bring the back wall in and tie that in, and then take the braces off the back, and then hopefully get the front wall in. But the braces will be in the way, so I'm gonna have to lift the front wall up, which is really heavy, but I think I can lift it. So we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow when I bring you guys back, maybe there'll be walls up, or at least a couple of them will be up, braced up. And if the walls go up good, then we'll feed the trusses up, put those in, and then put the sheets on the top and put the roof on it. And then after that, the pine board on the side. So we'll see how it goes. Well, I think it's like day 140, something like that. Had to let the It's about 42 degrees this morning, maybe about 40, I don't know. It's definitely 42 or lower. And I had to let the stove go out last night. It was smoking pretty bad in here. I wasn't sure what was doing it. I thought maybe because I put construction wood in it, which is spruce. It's just not really that great for the stove. And then when I woke up this morning, I realized, oh yeah, I know what it is. The chimney cap with the spark arrestor. The spark arrestor was all covered in creosote and completely caked. So it wasn't really letting air out like it should. So I scrubbed that down this morning with a stick and knocked all that creosote off of it, and it's running. It looked like it's running a lot better. Yeah, she's smoking now. I had to take the cap off though. See all this black stuff on the roof too. That's a lot of it's from taking the cap off, but some of it was blowing out of it too, because it was just so chalked up. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that. It's like creosote grease. And that's because it was clogged at the top, so it was coming out the chimney in all these different places. That's why I was getting smoke inside. So I don't have a chimney brush yet. I gotta go grab one of those. When I'm in town, I'm gonna grab one of those because I need one for the cabin anyways. I just gotta remember to brush this thing. You know, this stove is made for like just using on weekend or month-long trips, but I've been in this all summer, and although I didn't use the stove much during the summer, I used it all spring, and now that fall is here, I'm going to be using it all fall. So you got to maintain things like that, or you could start a fire at night, or you could just die of carbon monoxide poisoning because your whole tent is full of smoke. So you got to watch out for that. And I have a carbon monoxide detector at the up at camp, but I should probably bring it down here while I'm burning the stove in the cabin at night, just to make sure I don't go to sleep and never wake up. Ooh, smoke. Look at the smoke going through the valley. Looks sweet. Well, I gotta get myself together here. It's freezing cold, but we gotta get those walls up today. I guess I gotta visit the neighbor and see if he has a better ladder. Look at that giant pumpkin. That thing is huge, and it's not even the biggest one. There's one behind the fence. It made it over the other side of the fence. There's also one hanging on the fence over here that's pretty big, but the one that's on the other side of the fence, it's laying right there. It's a little bit bigger than even this one is. These pumpkins are huge. The Max pumpkin. Definitely big ones. Especially since we didn't even fertilize this garden really hard. I don't know how they're growing so big. But early morning, I was cutting some trails. Now it's time to throw the walls up on this building. So many crazy mushrooms out right now. I saw these last night. I wanted to come back in the daylight and check them out. I'm in the bush here next to the driveway. But these things look crazy. Big cluster. Pretty sweet. Probably dangerous though, but I don't know. Don't see many growing in clusters like this. I'm gonna take some pictures. Alright, I guess it's only day 134. I think I said it was 140 or something earlier. It feels like that. But anyways, it's day 4 of actual working on this shed build, and it's been like 6 days since we started it, but we had 2 days of rain. So we're gonna raise these walls, which they kind of already raised, but we're gonna put them on the base and raise them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna secure with 3.5-inch screws a couple braces right here and have them just sitting in the trees waiting. And then I'll bring the first wall up, set it down, and maybe screw one screw through the plate into the floor, and then make my way over to one side, make sure it's level and plumb, and then brace it, and then do the same thing on the other side. Hopefully I can do this by myself. We'll see if this actually works out or not. I don't know if it's gonna.
Look at this guy. You can't even tell. He looks like a little acorn sheath or something. It looks like a piece of a pine tree, but he is a caterpillar. I don't know, he might be the beetle that kills all these pine trees. I'm not really sure. No, he's a caterpillar, so he must make a moth. Or maybe he's a grub, I don't know. Look at him. He looks just like a piece of pine tree. Crazy. Well, I got this wall up and braced. I gotta drill pilot holes and lock that bottom plate down. But yeah, I could lift it. So I can lift these two, and I can lift the back wall, but the front wall that has the header and everything on it is like twice as much wood as all these other walls. And I don't think I can lift it by myself. But we'll see. By the time we get to that point, we'll have these 3 walls in and tied to each other. And then I'll just have to get this one up and into the spot if I can do it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can do it. Alrighty, I'll get back to it. Alright, that's 3 walls up. Now for the heaviest one. I don't know, it's gonna be pretty hard lifting the heavy one up onto that sill there. But if I can get it up there, if I can get it over here and then get it up there, then I'll be able to pretty much do everything with what I got here and won't have to go get a ladder or help from the neighbor. We'll see. I can hear the neighbor next door. He's doing construction. The neighbor next door is actually putting a foundation down right now, and he's planning on building a cord log cabin out of cordwood. So like 2-foot sections, so when you look at it, it won't be like long logs, it'll be round logs. It's gonna look sweet. We'll go over and take some pictures and videos as he's doing it. I'll put a brace right there so I could help lift it right in the middle. Kept it balanced, and I was able to lift it over here and just barely lift it up there, but it's up there now, so that should be one of the hardest parts. Oh, putting the 8x4 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood on the roof too. That's gonna be really hard. That's gonna be hard to do by myself on a ladder, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe I can feed a couple of them up through here and do them from inside there. There's more sturdy of a surface than out there. I don't know, we'll see when we come to that. But yeah, I gotta just screw this wall in, and all 4 walls are up. Pretty psyched. I'm gonna go eat some beans and brats though for lunch. Well, there it is, boys and girls. An ear of sweet corn. I've never grown corn to the point where I had a corn on the cob I could eat. It's pretty sweet. And there's a bunch of them. It's gonna be like probably 40 of these things. But I've grown popcorn before, like a Native American strain of popcorn, and I grew that twice. And I have seeds from that. I just didn't plant it this year because I wanted to have some sweet corn, so I didn't know about cross-pollination, if that would wreck the corn or not. So I just did the sweet corn. Now we got a bunch, so I'm gonna throw this on the wood stove tonight and put some butter on it. It's gonna be delicious. Man, first ear of sweet corn ever. This garden is so sweet this year. Got me pumped. All right, 4 walls are up. And I have a little brace
up there to catch the first rafter trusses. You know what I mean. So I'm gonna put them up there and see how it goes. And as I put them up, I'll probably connect them with a 2x4 inside. That'll come down after, just so the wind doesn't have them blowing all around. Well, my very expensive Milwaukee just took a fall from the top, which that sucks, but only got 2 more of these trusses to put in, and then the roof sheeting. Super psyched. Well, actually, I guess we're gonna have to put a couple pieces on the end to make an overhang, and then the roof sheeting. But it doesn't look like I broke my drill. I took a fall, hit the building a little bit right there, and then tumbled into the thorn bushes. But doesn't look like I broke anything. Pretty hardcore piece of equipment we got here. I love this thing. This whole fuel set that I picked up this summer was totally worth it. Get almost everything done with just these cordless tools. Alright, all ready for roof sheeting. It's gonna be exciting trying to get it up there. Wish me luck. I almost stepped on this frog earlier. Oh, it's a toad. And then after I got out of his way, he decided to set up shop right where I was working. And he's like watching me work and eating ants as they go by. But if you see that back there, it's a really scary caterpillar. And the whole time the caterpillar walked from here and all the way over, the frog watched it the whole way around. He watched it like super sharply, like he's scared of it or something. But when it went the other way, he calmed down and just continued eating some ants. Oh, got the roof on. Just putting an overhang on the gables here, and then it'll be time for the metal roof sheeting. So I'm excited to get the roof done. It's been the hardest part and hasn't been easy. Plus I'm kind of afraid of heights, so I hate being up on a damn roof. Woo! Installing the roof underlay for condensation. I was gonna use tar paper, but the synthetic stuff's supposed to be better and it's a lot easier to get up here. So as soon as I'm done with that, put a couple pieces of trim on and then the metal roof. Well, having Jim Beam and ginger ale, delicious. And having a little bonfire. Burn all the construction ends and pieces that won't be any good for pretty much anything else around the property. And I'm not burning that stuff in my stove anymore because I think that's what was really causing all the creosote build up in there. It's pretty dark. And this time of night, right around dark, you can hear all the boats down at the river trying to race back before it gets too dark. All the guys without lights on the boat trying to get off the river before it gets too dark. A lot of them just fish until it's almost too late. You can hear them just cranking up the river. It's awesome. That sound and the train are 2 sounds that I hear every night. Well, I'm just burning this construction material in a couple of wet boxes that I have that got all wet. Nothing else I can really do with these wet boxes. They're all moldy and stuff, so I can't really recycle them, so we're gonna burn those things. Get them off the property and just enjoy the fire tonight. Day 137. Well, it's like day 7 or something of working on this thing. Longer than we were hoping. But the leaf changeover is definitely happening right now. I'll take you down to the brook later and it's really happening down there. But the next 2 weeks, this place is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be so beautiful. But today, I'm putting the roof on that sweet little building there. So we gotta get that done. I'm gonna get to it. Well, that damn metal roof nicked me. Nice little chunk too. Well, early morning on day 138, it's September 13th, Friday the 13th. Man, it looks like this garden had a hard time last night. The temperatures got down to about 39, 40 degrees. It's 40 when I woke up, but it was probably a little bit colder, a little bit earlier than that. The leaves are definitely changing, but it looks like the squash had a really hard time. And the one tomato plant has changed colors and it's probably gonna die in the next couple days. So I'm gonna go and cut all the tomatoes that are on there off and hopefully they'll ripen up. But we didn't get many tomatoes. The tomatoes, they grew, but they never ripened up really. I'm not sure what that's all about, but next year I'm gonna do cherry tomatoes because I eat those a lot more anyways than big steak tomatoes. Beefsteak tomatoes. But man, look at that pumpkin. That thing is so huge. And the leaves are all in pretty rough shape here from being cold last night, but I think that once the sun gets on them for a little while that they're gonna perk back up, and these squash will probably still have another week or two before they'll actually die. But they definitely had a hard time last night. They look all wilted and effed up. But there's a lot of squash in there still. I have to go in there and harvest all the squash. Hopefully some of it has gone to seed. We're hoping to get some fresh seeds this year from the squash and from the corn. We'll pick a couple pieces of corn to eat tonight too, but some of that we're leaving on there so we can get some on-stalk dried corn. That will also bring the deer in when the deer season comes in. If we keep those standing there, they'll come and mess with those in the morning, hopefully. Man, giant pumpkins everywhere. The pumpkins are all wilted, but they don't look that bad. They're still pretty green. But all the summer squash and zucchini look like it only got a couple days left. A couple nights like this and they'll be done. Alright, well, it's time to get over to that cabin. Got the roof on. Well, not the cabin, the shed. We got the roof on, and today we're going to put some knotty pine tongue and groove around the whole thing. And that thing should be pretty much finished. Everything will be done but the door, hopefully, by the end of the day. Well, day 138, and that's the harvest for today. It's like a late fall harvest, but it's actually early fall. It just gets so cold so quick up here. The seasons are really short. It was definitely cold last night. I had to wake up and stoke the stove in the middle of the night, which I usually don't have to do with my sleeping bag. So it's definitely below 40 degrees at one point last night. Oh, we'll see how these rebound. But sometime in the next couple weeks we'll get this all cleared out and we'll pile all the organic material in the corner and then we'll cover it with some wood chips. And that'll break down. And then we'll plant sunflowers or something over in the corner in that breakdown pile next year. Oh man, that pumpkin is just so huge. I'm psyched. The one that's on the other side is not quite as big as this. This is definitely the biggest one. But we got like six really big ones like this. But that's the biggest one. But the one that's over there is almost all yellow with just a little bit of green. And I think I'm going to cut that one soon because I like it when they have a little green on them still. And they'll turn orange anyways. Not yellow, orange. They'll turn orange slowly anyways if you cut them when they're green. But not all the way sometimes. Sometimes they'll stay green for a while before they get carved up. Halloween pumpkins is what these things are. This is the one I was really waiting for though. That's my butternut. My favorite kind of squash. I just peel this and then cut it up into cubes and boil it and then mash it up with butter, like kind of like mashed potatoes. That's the best way to eat these. I'm actually gonna cut this one up tonight and start boiling water on the wood stove today and then put it on there. Be having that for lunch today or dinner tonight, one or the other. I'm excited. I've been waiting for this one. I still got another one that's ripening up here. Hopefully it finishes before it gets too cold, but This one I've been watching all summer, so excited. It's almost the end of the season, almost the end of the summer. Soon it will be cold and freezing. It's almost the end of the warm summer days. Look at that building. Alright, well, I'm gonna eat this thing and then go down to the end of the driveway and start hauling pine board up here. Well, it looks like last night's cold temperatures did the garden in. I thought it was gonna jump back. You know, it's still the same day. I haven't even put those vegetables away. But the tomatoes and the squash and the pumpkins don't look like they're gonna come back from that. So hopefully the rest of these pumpkins turn orange. If we let them sit on the vine for a couple days, hopefully they'll turn orange. But looks like the squash and everything is done, so we're gonna clean this garden out in the next couple days and get it all ready for next year. That's too bad. I thought I was gonna have a couple more weeks. But last night, I mean, it got pretty damn close to freezing. When I woke up last night, I was pretty cold, and my sleeping bag I can usually get down to 35 degrees in before I have to move to a winter sleeping bag. So that sucks. But at least that giant crazy pumpkin's all done. I'll set that up on the porch. I'm gonna bring these down and box these up for the neighbors. It's pretty crazy. There's the cucumbers all dead. Tomatoes all dead. So the kale, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli, and this big old cannabis plant didn't seem to be affected too much by the cold, but everything else pretty much died in one night. So that's interesting. I don't know what the plan is for this. It's not really doing what it was supposed to do. Just because the light hours are too long for it here. You need to have certain genetics if you want it to finish right. I guess I can make some rope with it or something. But that's not really what we wanted it for. Well, cold nights. Just doing the siding, you can't see, but the back wall's almost done. And then we'll move to the two side walls. Chipping away. Well, that one side and this, I think I probably can get 3 more pieces up tonight, but it's getting too late to bang the hammer. So it's gonna rain, but that cover should be fine. And I'll just put a piece of this Rex wrap over the door and staple it on, I guess. And I'm gonna put the Rex wrap that goes up there in, and the 2 braces for putting the batten on. So it's taking me longer than I thought it was gonna. I still have to cut every one of these boards and then get it nailed up there. And with a hammer and nails, each board takes 18 nails. So that's a lot of hammering. It's pretty loud too. Hopefully the neighbors aren't up right now. We're driving them crazy. All right. Gonna put this stuff up and close this thing up and maybe get these 3 pieces on if I can, but I'm trying to stop hammering by 6 o'clock and it's like 4:30 right now, so chipping away, almost done. What a crying shame. Nothing came back. None of the squash or pumpkins. I mean, some of the pumpkins, the leaf kind of looks like it could live, maybe on that one. But all that's pretty much done. I have to get that cleaned out soon. Broccoli are doing great though. They actually got some broccoli on there. I'm gonna have to get that tonight. Kale loving the cold. Corn is not loving it so much. I'm gonna pick a couple pieces of that for tonight too. Grabbing the last pieces of wood
for the night. I'm gonna cut them and then put them down, and then that's gonna be it for today. And tomorrow morning we're gonna harvest some of these pumpkins. Yeah, pumpkins everywhere. Hopefully these ones that are green are still gonna turn orange though. Man, I hope so. Well, September 14th today, and I can definitely see the water level down here at the spring is lower. It's not reaching the top and flowing into the meadow anymore. So, I don't know, I guess that usually happens in fall, but I wonder how low this gets. I wonder if it'll get low enough that the barrel won't have water to freeze this winter, or not. I don't know, because I'm still gonna backfill that. I just got like 2 more weeks left. I need to collect water from this source, then I'm gonna backfill this, fill it in, and then we'll just have this bucket here, which should be fed by the spring. But I don't know how low the water is gonna get in the bucket, because if it stays, it's about halfway up the bucket right now. If it stays that high, when it freezes, it could split the barrel. I don't know. Hopefully not, but it could. Well, as usual, daily chores, hauling 10 gallons of water out the woods. Whew, look at this thing next to a 5-gallon pot, a bucket. That's how big this thing is. It's not even the biggest one. This is the one that was hiding behind the garden, on the outside of the fence. Pretty orange on one side at least, so I'm gonna let the other ones sit in the garden until they turn orange. Hopefully they do. At least the underside will be orange, but a lot of them are still green on top. Thing's huge. It's wicked heavy. I mean, I don't know, I'd say it's probably 35 pounds. Now that is a good Halloween pumpkin. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'll actually probably send that one down to my nieces and nephews. My mom's gonna come up at some point with a generator that I have in her basement. And I'll probably send this one down for the kids. They'll carve it up. There's nobody to even show them off to up here. Not a single person will pass the place all Halloween. So, that thing's huge though, next to the 5-gallon bucket. Sweet! And 3 ears of corn for tonight too. That sweet corn's delicious. Well, just getting down on this butternut squash, and I don't know, since the cold weather came so quick, I don't know, this might be the only one that ripens up. So I'm gonna try to really enjoy it. Pretty windy. Man, it's a shame. This garden looks so dead and sad. But the vines didn't actually freeze that night. I don't know. I don't think it froze that night. It got down to like 39 or 38 maybe at the lowest. Definitely didn't go any lower than 38. But you can see all the leaves that were covered by other leaves didn't get it, you know? It's like kind of like having a greenhouse or something over it. And the stuff in the greenhouse didn't freeze out at all. But you can see there's some places where new leaves are growing because the vine is still alive, and then some places where there were leaves that were covered by all kinds of other leaves, so they didn't freeze out that night. But I'm just letting things continue. Hopefully get some more orange in our pumpkins. And the tomatoes, like everything on top that was getting windblown during the cold time died, but everything under that was getting blocked by those other leaves are fine. So we're gonna let those tomatoes keep ripening. It's probably windy. It's probably all you can hear, but it is sad. It is sad to look at this garden and see all these dead squash and pumpkin leaves. Look, oh man, there's a nice little crown of broccoli. I'm gonna eat that tonight. That one we haven't cut on yet. That's a top crown. You can see this one has some broccolis coming off of it too, but that's one we cut off the top, and it's just like little branches of broccoli coming off of it now. Yeah, I love that broccoli. Next year I'm gonna do a section with just broccoli. I had a hard time growing around everything else because it grows a lot slower. So I'm gonna make sure that's in its own section. Oh, the wind's blowing. It's
probably all you can hear is crackling. Well, I'm gonna finish this shed up today. Look at this big guy. Forest toad. Walking past the building site. Hiding under the wood last night in the rain or something. Well, see you later, guy. Using that lumber cover to cover one of the wood stacks. Just watching the wind blow. All the leaves are gonna fall off the tree. They're gonna get blown off the tree before they even change color. So much wind. Here's a place where I'm gonna start cutting wet wood and stacking it for next year. I don't know if I ever showed you this outhouse. It's pretty much done. I haven't put the actual seat in there yet, but it's all put together. I just haven't put it in here. A little bit of an overhang. Stained it with clear coat, just clear coat, to bring out that naughty look. It came out pretty good, and well, the door is sagging though. I don't know if you can see what's wrong. I have to take that off and knock it into place, but I didn't put the braces. I forgot to put the braces on. So I figured it was gonna sag eventually. It's been about 3 weeks since I built it, and it's sagging now. So I gotta take that door off and just knock one end and like reverse the sag, and then we'll put some stabilizers in there. Just a hole. Nothing in there right now. No animals or anything, which is good. A little window in the back so you can open it up and get some ventilation. This thing cost me, I don't know, probably less than $100. $160 at the very most, but I think this one actually cost me less than $100. The metal roofing, I only needed one piece and it was 12 bucks, which that's usually kind of a big expense. Oh yeah, the window was originally for the cabin, but I didn't put it in there, so that was like 30 bucks. So it was like 160 with the window. But the guy down the street, he sells a outhouse that's about the same size, but I think it's a little bit smaller and it's not nearly as nice looking as this. And it's $450. So I definitely saved a lot of money building my own outhouses. Thing's pretty sweet. Well, just cleaning up all the scraps. Gonna have a little bonfire tonight. We're almost done with this thing. 3 sides are done, and there's this side. I'm getting close to done, but I ran out of pine wood. So I need 8 8-foot pieces, and that should cut up to the lengths that I need to fill in these last spots. And then I still got to find a door, which I was hoping to put a real door on here. But I don't know. I still haven't found one that fit that hole. So if I have to, I'll make a door out of the pine wood like we did on the outhouses and just use that this year. But I really wanted to have a door that was already hung in a frame that I could fit in there. It's a 36-inch rough opening, so if I could find like a 32 to 34-inch door that's all framed in, like a security door, that's what I would like to have on there. That way the snow doesn't blow in it all year and things don't get wet, because with the kind of door I have on the outhouse, it's going to be really hard to keep it completely dry in there when the snow is blowing really hard all winter. But we'll go down and at least get the stuff to finish that, and then the next day I'm going to go and talk to the guy who runs town here. He might know where there's a door that'll fit in there, and if he does, then I'll go and get it. So really close. This is taking us a lot longer. It's been like a week and a half we've been working on this, so it's a lot longer than I was hoping it was gonna. But at least it's almost done. It looks pretty good. You know, there's no windows, but I can cut windows later on, and right now I really don't care about windows. I just want a building that's completely waterproof and sealed up that I can store stuff in. So this will flip the bill. I finished cleaning up all this stuff and start a fire for tonight. It's Sunday night, end of the week. Shouldn't have been working today on Sunday, but you know, get this done. Hear the train rolling up in the background. I guess I'm gonna split a little bit of stove wood. The wind has picked up quite a bit. See, it's blowing all over, so I probably shouldn't light this bonfire right now. So let's get some stove wood together, get myself collected, get some food on, and just hang out inside the canvas tent once it gets dark tonight by the stove. Look at that tree. Look at how freaking beautiful those colors are. It's just beginning out here. It's all just beginning. This is the best time of the year. And look at that pumpkin, it's so huge. Try to get, yeah, right there. That's beautiful. Canvas tent with some leaf foliage. Hell yeah. Look who just popped back up. What's up, man? Where were you? Hiding under the lumber? No, we just put this lumber here today. So I had to run out and get a little more lumber. And we're finishing the last little bit of the siding. And then I got some pieces so we could trim out the corners too. And then it's pretty much done except for the door, which I haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing yet. So, chipping away. Got a little toad friend watching me the whole time. He's been out here for days. He's interested in what we're doing. And the wind is blowing. The wind is back. Now that it's fall, the summer it wasn't that windy up here, but now that it's fall, that wind we had in spring is back. It's just constant. I need to get a wind generator. That's going to be the way to power this place during the winter. That's going to be the best way. A couple solar panels too, but then you got to keep them clean of snow all the time, and that's a chore out here. We get a lot of snow. So a wind turbine at some point, but that's like a $1,500 investment. So it's not happening right now. But I'm gonna finish this up and get the trim on. Well, this is that apple tree that I have on my property. The Macintosh, and they're good. They taste really good, and they're not that wormy or anything. And if I sprayed this with a couple things, it would be even better. But it's a pretty nice apple tree. I mean, look at all those apples. Lots of them. And I have one more apple tree that's like 20 yards that way, closer to the road, but it doesn't really produce anything nice. But at least I got one apple tree. Definitely can make apple pie with this, and cider. Eventually I want to make cider. By this time next year, I want to have stuff set up to make at least a small batch of cider. That's my plan here. I can hear a lot of stuff. It's just before dusk. I'm pretty sure that's when the animals come over here to feast on apples. So, keep my eyes peeled. It's a wood pile. I gotta spend some time cutting that today. It's the cabin, and the big maple next to it is changing colors. It's awesome. Fall in Maine. I love it. Favorite time of the year. See if we can get that awesome tree in there. That tree in the next couple days is gonna be crazy, on fire. Well, early morning. Now that we're pretty much done with the shed, I still have to do some trim work on it. But now that that's pretty much done, I gotta spend a couple days working on firewood. It's cold this morning, and it's already 10 o'clock in the morning actually, and it was really cold this morning when I woke up, and now it's still cold throughout the day. So tonight and tomorrow are gonna be really cold. Probably get down to freezing maybe, which it's September 16th or 17th right now. 17th, I think. And yeah, we're definitely thinking to get a real frost sometime in the next couple days, next 2 days. So I gotta get to chopping all this up because we're burning firewood already. It's crazy. September, burning firewood already, and then you have to burn it until end of April, pretty much. That's a lot of firewood. Oh, before I get on this firewood, I'm actually gonna go grab a paper bag and I'm gonna collect the whole bag full of apples from that tree, because they're pretty much at perfect right now. They taste delicious. I can't believe I have an apple tree that produces that many apples that actually taste good. I never have before. I've had apple trees on that other property has an apple tree right next to it on the next property over, but they're always sour. They're never good. And the apples that are on the road really aren't good either, which is a pretty big tree. It has a lot of apples on it, but they're not really sweet. But this one tree, man, they're good. Perfect Macintosh. I like having no maintenance food on the property. It's crazy. Like, I actually own an apple tree that produces apples that I can eat. A huge one. There's like probably more than 100 apples on there. That's pretty cool. Got me psyched. But I'm gonna get a bag and go collect a whole bag full of those while they're really at their prime right now. Look at this garden. So sad, but tonight's gonna be a hard freeze, so I don't know. I gotta look up on the internet. I don't even know if you can leave the pumpkins out for a hard freeze. They might get all mushy after that. So I might have to bring these down to the cabin. But I was trying to keep them on the stem until they all turned orange. They're turning orange. That thing's turning orange. That one's got a lot more orange on it. So it is sad seeing this whole garden dead. That was a fun summer. There's a lot of gardening and experimental gardening. You know, this whole thing went well. That garden only got grass and wood chips and then some moose droppings in the sand that was already here, all turned with just a shovel. You know, this whole section of garden produced a lot of food, and it didn't cost anything. It cost like 3 days of labor. That's it. No money was involved in that. Well, I guess I had to have the wood chipper, you know, because the wood chips was a valuable layer. It really helped break down that grass layer fast, having that wood chips seal in the moisture. So you got to have a wood chipper, you know, but you could have just done it with grass for sure. If you just kept on putting more grass down the whole season instead of a layer of wood chips. But the wood chips did suppress a lot of the weeds too. We only got grass in a couple places where the wood chips were a little too thin. So this is fun. It's a fun garden this year. I had to go grab this bag. I'll just slam this little rack together for my boots, and then when I start up the fire later tonight, I can kind of keep those kind of close to the fire. They're leather, so you don't want to dry them out by the fire, but you know, I could keep them in there where it's warm, and hopefully they'll be dry by tomorrow. They were smelling pretty bad after going. I went for a hike at one point and they got really wet, like probably a week and a half ago, and they were just smelling really bad. So I couldn't take it anymore. I had to clean them out. I just put some laundry detergent in them and swished my hands around in them for a while, and then drained the water out, and just did that a couple times. So hopefully they're clean now. And you gotta let them get completely 100% dry before you put them all back together, which might take a couple days. So yeah, but we just use some scrap wood there, so we have a nice rack so we can put them out in the sun during the day or put them next to the stove at night. Just slam that together. But I'm getting this brown bag. We're going to get apples. Alright, got a brown paper bag and put it in a plastic bag for stability purposes. Let's get down to this tree. It's so crazy that I have a whole road. Like, all this stuff is still so crazy to me. Like, I have a road. Like, this is my road, and there's a garden on it, there's a shed on it, there's a building at the beginning, there's a gate. It still blows me away. But I still have a little bit of money owed on the property. So once I get that paid off, and then I really own all this stuff completely, man, that's gonna be mind-blowing. It's gonna be cool. I'm gonna have to go back to work this year, because if I go back to work just 1 year, I would probably be able to make enough money to pay it off completely. And then I have my building here, and you know, a little paradise out here. Probably about 3 years worth of work is what it takes, or 4 years worth of work, yeah. And then 1 year of development work too that I just spent here. You know, I spent the whole summer here. So, you know, 4 or 5 years of your life, if you work hard, you can probably own something. But it takes time, for sure. So all you young people, make a plan, stick to it, follow through. Well, there's a couple good ones. There's tons of them, but they're too high for me to reach. I need to get like an apple picker. I don't know if there's something I can make with some sticks or something. I'll have to look that up. See if there's any recommendations on how to pick stuff. But they do make those little baskets on a stick that you can use, little pickers. Which I'm gonna have to get one of those because there's a lot of apples that are really nice, but they're too high. I cannot reach them. And there's fresh deer track coming in here. I knew there would be, especially now that we've made a path that's clear across the field. The deer are gonna be coming in and out of here. Like if I sit on the other side of the field in the morning, pretty close to the cabin too, I should see deer in here eventually. So this will probably be the spot. Need to make like a little stand to sit in somewhere in the tree. That'd definitely be the spot. I don't know if you can see that. First frost last night, September 18th. A couple squash that got left outside. They're frozen. Oh man, that one squash we were trying to finish, it's frozen. Pumpkins look fine. But we have another freeze like this tomorrow night. Yeah, look at that kale. It's been doing so good. The cold hasn't affected it at all. But it's frozen straight through. That's a hard freeze right there. Anything that's not covered got hard frozen last night, which means it'll be dead by this afternoon. So that's too bad. The few things I have in the greenhouse did keep it from freezing. But more than a couple nights of this, and even the stuff in the greenhouse will be frozen. And the wood that I chopped last night and brought into camp sucked. It like either didn't burn, it was taking forever to burn, and then once I got it to burn, it burnt up really quick and didn't provide much heat. So that was a mistake. I gotta definitely make sure I chop better wood these next couple of days, but it's gonna be freezing temperatures these last night and tonight. And then it's gonna get back up into like the 75 degrees and 50 degrees at night for like another week or two, or another week at least. So that's good. Finish up a few things I have left in the greenhouse, and get this door in the shed, and get back to chopping wood. After a cold night like this, all you think about is chopping wood. I'm gonna be spending the next week chopping a lot of wood. That's what I gotta do. Barely see any smoke coming out of that thing. Sun's shining. That's a cold sight. And your fire pit has frost on it. Oh man, not good. Well, down collecting water. The water level is definitely lower than it was. Some colors coming into the meadow here. It's gonna be pretty nice. But yeah, that frost finally did it. There's no mosquitoes. This is a spot where the mosquitoes were always at, no matter what. And there's none here, not a single one. So September 18th, first hard frost, where there was actually frost on the ground, and mosquitoes are finally dead, completely dead. So that is great. Like, man, they were real torment. The black flies were really bad those first couple weeks, but then the mosquitoes have just been nonstop all summer, so we're glad to be through that. And now it's fall in Maine. Super psyched. But but I'm still hauling water, so I gotta go haul this.
Alright, well, this is the biggest watermelon we had this year. So, I don't know, it's pretty firm, but the plant just died tonight in the cold. So, I'm gonna open it up here soon. And if we're lucky, it's one of the icebox melons, because if it is, it will probably be good at this size. It might be finished actually. It's been on there for a long time. Hasn't grown in a long time. And the little curly Q vine that was coming off of it was dead a long time ago, so I don't know. Maybe we'll open it up and there'll be something in there, or maybe this was a giant watermelon that never did anything that I've just been feeding and watching for like 3 months. So we'll find out here in a second. Alright, back from the little hike, and I guess it's time to see if this watermelon is actually an edible watermelon or not. I don't know, what do you guys think? 50-50 chance. Oh man, I don't know, that's pretty good. At least it's pink in the middle. There's seeds in there. So I don't know, that's probably gonna be pretty good actually, or at least edible. Which, edible is better than nothing. Yeah, it's good. It's a watermelon. There's more seeds than flesh in it though. But those seeds should all be good for growing next year, so we're gonna save those. Yeah, pretty good. Rock on. At least we got one watermelon. Oh man, he just took off. There's a hornet and he was holding this giant rock. I think that's him right there. Let's see if he lands again. I don't know why he would have that big rock in his mouth. Like, what are you using that for? Well, I don't know. Took off. He didn't want to be on YouTube. I'm not sure if it's a flying ant or what it is, but it has a stinger and it stung this spider, and the spider has been completely paralyzed ever since. And now he's getting dragged through the grass. I don't know where this little insect's trying to bring it, but that spider's like 3 times, 4 times the size of that thing. And it was still alive. Like, I saw the whole fight go down, and it stung it a couple times, and the spider is just done. Can't move at all. It's crazy. Well, filling in these, oh, zoomed out. Filling in these gaps so there's no way critters can get in the shed here. Woke up this morning, stoked the stove. Second day in a row, full frost. Today's even more frostier than yesterday was, and I woke up with the hiccups this morning. But pretty much anything that was alive out there is definitely dead now. The garden. So I just went and checked on the things in the greenhouse though, and all those are still alive. So a greenhouse will definitely get you an extra couple weeks every year. So anybody who's growing in cold environment should consider that. Man, these hiccups are driving me crazy. Well, the kale has done surprisingly well. Second night of hard frost. As you can see, everything else is dead. I mean, the vines and everything are pretty much dead. Not holding anything up anymore. A couple squash in there. But I gotta get these pumpkins and bring them down to the cabin, I guess. So they don't keep getting frozen. That one's turning orange still though. So, I don't know. Leave them here for a little bit longer, I guess. But this morning it's nice and cool. The mosquitoes are non-existent, so we're gonna go for a long stroll on the property and go out to the pond, see if there's ducks out there, and then I think I'm gonna go the long way and meet up with the brook and then come back out around, do the big loop. So yeah, I'll pull you out if I see anything cool today. Well, this is pretty cool. It looks like a beaver took down this birch tree. He's been chewing on her. Oh yeah, there's another creek. I knew there was another one over here. Man, I don't know where it's at, but it has been working on this thing real good. That thing's just holding on by a thread there. That thing's just been eating huge chunks out of it. Must like this stuff. We don't really do much with that, so that's a good tree for him to eat. It's better than the maples. I go find where this guy's living. Trees are beautiful right here. Crazy. Well, I'm on the furthest corner of my property, but I still can't find the line. It should be marked in red for the wildlife management area. Tons of moose tracks, a couple of deer tracks too, but this whole property just has so many moose tracks. But I've been walking for like an hour, so it's really thick. And my property is a weird shape, so if you go from one corner to the longest corner away, it's like, I don't know, it's got to be like over a mile at least of really thick bush like this, and you hit a lot of swamps, and there's like 4 or 5 creeks. So this land is wild. That's why I went with it. I like it. Fall changeover is looking crazy, but this stuff's getting too wet right now. I don't know if I want to keep going through, but I saw some markers down by the brook, so I guess I'll backtrack to that spot and see if there's a place along the brook that I can follow to that far corner. It should be here. We should be really close to it. But you'd see the red line. It's like a huge red blaze that goes through the woods. That's the wildlife management area. Man, I gotta mark the trails a lot better. And I finally made it out of the woods. Man, look at that. Across the street. It's crazy. There's water there. Those leaves are going crazy. Now we're back on the road. It's one of the apple trees right there. And a dry elm I gotta cut down. Man, the woods there, hard to cut through sometimes. See, this is the property across the street. I still want this property. That's a beaver dam right there, or beaver den, whatever you want to call it. A couple beavers live in there. I see them doing stuff all the time. This was dry all right here, but they dammed it up over here next to the brook to divert water and made this into a little area for them. So that's one thing that kind of sucks about that property is there's like 10 acres right here that the beavers have ruined, but then the rest of it is much higher and drier than the rest of my property. Driveway is just up ahead here. About to have some delicious beans and brats. But I was watching some YouTube videos, and I guess if I cut this bottle like this, I don't know if that V might be too wide, but basically this is the idea. You cut this bottle with an opening like this, and then we'll hook it onto a stick with some zip ties, and we should be able to pick those apples that are way too high in the tree for us. So we'll see. I know this will work. It's just a matter of if I've got it set up right or not. We might have to cut a couple bottles to get it. I'm gonna eat and then we're gonna go to the apple tree. Oh, there it is in its simplest form. I think that'll work though. Let's go take it to the apple tree and see. But that should be able to get some pretty high apples. I didn't bring my bag down with me, or my tripod, so bear with me here. This apple is almost perfect, look at that. Oh my goodness. And it was way up in the tree up there. So this thing worked. Just put it in there and pluck it down. It might not have been shaped the absolute best for this. I could have probably made the hole a little bit better. If you want to see, I can probably try to show you with one hand. There's a pretty good one right there. So you just shake the apple into the thing and then get it hooked in the V and then pull. Nice. Oh, this apple has a bruise on it. Nice. So the apple picker works. I didn't have to buy anything. I was hoping we could figure that out. It only took two YouTube videos. Man, YouTube's so great. Well, I got a lot of apples to collect because it froze really hard last night, and I want to get these apples, a bunch of them, down before it freezes again. It's one of these freezes, they'll just all fall off or not be good anymore. Look at the size of that apple. That is crazy that I have a tree on my property that produces hundreds of apples. And some of them are this big. This barely even fit in the hole in the picker. That is a good apple. I just ate that first one. That first one was so delicious. These apples too have like perfect amount of tangy and sweetness. They're like perfect tasting. Hopefully they taste the same every year, because this year they are definitely one of the best apples I've ever had. Filling up that bug net full of apples. Take those back, and then over the next couple days we'll just keep on coming and getting them. Just look at how many there are. It is like unbelievable how many apples are on this tree. And they're actually delicious. It's crazy. Never would have expected it. I'd say this is one of the most valuable things on the property. A tree that's already producing, basically producing as many apples as I basically eat in a year. I mean, maybe I'll eat it lately only a couple a week, but usually I would like to eat at least one apple a day. So that's 300 apples. So I don't know, maybe there's only about 150 apples on this tree, but that's pretty much all the apples I eat, and this tree doesn't have to be taken care of. So I need to clear this field next to it and plant more apple trees and just have this be the orchard, starting with this tree. And then there's a big clearing over here that's all brambles. We'll just clear the brambles out and start planting apple trees. And we'll just have an apple tree orchard with a couple cherry trees, those and a couple pear trees. All that should grow without needing to be tended to for the most part. I'm gonna keep picking. I'm gonna eat another one of these. I gotta find a perfect one. And some of them are perfect, just don't have any bug holes or any weird deformity. It's just a perfect apple, which I can't believe it. I've never, I mean, other than at orchards, at farms, I haven't even seen apples this nice, like just growing randomly. I mean, this was a farm a long time ago, and this is a really old tree, so I don't know how long this tree has left, but it must have been here from when the old farmer's here, because it's not like the other apples that are on the road are all crabby. These are so good. Now that is a bag of free apples. And man, the apples that were higher in the tree have less worm damage and caterpillar damage and are way bigger. They're way nicer. Man, the other day I couldn't reach any that were even close to this nice. This one, look at this one. This is a perfect apple. Not a single thing wrong with it. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh man. I've already eaten 2 apples, so I'm gonna eat this third one. This one's just so beautiful. Gotta eat it. Well, the gardening season is definitely over here. Everything's died back. The pumpkins are still turning orange though, so that's good. Hopefully they'll get pretty orange. Man, look at this guy. This thing is so big. Crazy. Look, this is my scissors. There's some pruning scissors on it. Look how big that thing is. Probably gonna cut that. It's getting orange, more orange still, but I don't mind a little green. It looks kind of cool on Halloween pumpkins and have that dark, weird color on them. So I'm gonna probably cut that one free soon here. I'm trying to figure out if there's one. I want to keep the really big ones, give to my nieces and nephews. But I'm wondering which one I want to bring to the neighbors. I mean, I want to wait for it to be orange, I guess, but I think I'm going to go see the neighbors today, so I wanted to bring one. But the 2 biggest ones are the only ones that turned orange so far, and I want to keep those ones. So I guess we'll just have to wait a little bit longer. It looks like they're still turning, so maybe they'll be orange soon. Now that's a cucumber with some seeds. That thing's huge. Brussels sprouts and broccoli didn't die, but there's not really anything growing on them. Hemp plant's still trucking along. Not doing anything, but hasn't died from the cold yet. It will before it does anything special. So, butternut squash, the whole plant has died though, including the vine. So I guess that thing's as good as it's gonna get. It's not really ripe yet, but we'll see. Empty this bag into this pile, and right here where this hemp plant is where everything, all the extra dirt that's in these pots, it's all gonna go in one pile here with all the organic matter that we collect, that we cut down from all of this stuff at the end. Put it in there and then make like a pile and cover it with a little piece of black tarp. And that'll be the beginning of a compost pile. We'll try to keep it in with some sort of fencing maybe eventually. But yeah, fall in Maine. Loving it. Look at that cabin, or that shed. Pretty sweet. The neighbor down the road says that he has a door. He has a couple doors, so I'm going to go and look at some doors with him in the next couple days. And hopefully he has something that'll fit that space and get a real door on there. That's what I was hoping. I didn't want to have to make one out of tongue and groove. I really wanted a real door, not like a barn door. Like I want a door with like a knob and everything that locks. So we'll see what he has in the next couple days. Weather's nice again. We got 2 days of frost and now it's beautiful, and tonight it's gonna be like 47, so it's pretty nice weather now. Splitting some more punky firewood. Man, look at that little grub. That is an ugly bastard right there. To flick him off to the side, he's probably not happy. He was all cozy in that log right there. Weird looking fucker. I wonder what he grows up to be. I think this is the nicest quality piece of corn that I got out of the lot. It's tight, everything is filled in all the way to the top. This is the only ear that was completely perfect. I had a lot of good ears, but not as good as this. This one is like completely perfect. And we're also trying to cook some corned beef hash on the aluminum foil. I don't know how that's gonna go. And then there's some zucchini and some potatoes. So a whole bunch of stuff from the garden and some camp food from a can. Should be good. Well, early morning. No dew, a lot of dew, no frost. I left that piece of cheese out here. Which is usually not a good idea. I heard something out here last night. Heard something out here a bunch of times last night, and I came out with a flashlight and flashed it and couldn't see anything. But look at this. That is a turd. It's pretty fresh. I don't want to touch it to see if it's still warm, but that is from early this morning. I don't know what that is. It's pretty small. I mean, it could be a raccoon. That's what I would think it is. But they would usually mess with the trash can, which is sitting right next to it, so I don't know. I don't see anything messed with, and a raccoon can reach that piece of cheese. So if it was a raccoon, he would have grabbed that piece of cheese, I'm pretty sure. It's wrapped in plastic still, so maybe he can't smell it through the plastic, but I highly doubt that. So I don't know what that is. I gotta toss it out of the way though, so I don't step on it. It's right at the entrance to the canvas tent, so whatever it was, it came right up to the canvas tent last night or this morning. I heard stuff a bunch of times. I came out here looking with a flashlight but didn't find anything. But it wasn't that bad. About 47 degrees last night. It's warmed up quite a bit this week, so hopefully we can get 2 more weeks of warm weather. I can see those pumpkins are still turning orange over there, so maybe the pumpkins will finish up, get everything in the greenhouse finished up for the year, and yeah, hopefully we don't get any snow until at least mid-October, which is pretty early for snow, but the neighbor said that's when we're gonna get it up here. Sometime in October we'll get our first snow. That's crazy. So it's day 146 and Saturday. I think it's September 20th, something like that. I'm still going to keep these pumpkin vines, but all the other vines from the squash I'm going to cut out, and before they start breaking down too much, get them into a pile over there so we can compost them over there along the fence. And then next year we'll put some dirt over them, and then we'll plant some sunflowers probably over there on the fence. And that should do really nice. Take out these dying tomato plants, just get everything cleaned up here. We're just gonna get everything cleaned up except for the pumpkins. And then sometime in the next couple days I have to go and get some cement, like 5 bags of cement, and we're gonna build a 4x4 or maybe a 4x3 hearth in the cabin. And then we're gonna put that black metal sheet, we're gonna cut that to 7 feet, and we're gonna put that on the wall behind the stove. And then we're gonna cut the hole in the roof, which I've been putting it off all summer, but it's the last thing on the list of stuff that has to be done out here this year. So we're gonna cut that hole and install the whole chimney. We're gonna do that sometime in the next couple days, but I have to still go. I have to figure out how to get to town. I have to get down to town and get some cement. And I'm just gonna do a cement hearth. I'm gonna put it on 1/2-inch plywood with some plastic so the water doesn't soak through. Mix it really dry, and it's probably gonna look a little rough, but I don't care. I just need something that is fireproof that I can have on the ground there. And since it'll be on that 1-inch plywood, it'll be easy to take it out of there. I might not be able to lift it. I might still have to break it at some point to get it out of there, but if it's on that plywood, it won't mess up the floor when we have to go to remove it if we decide to put like tile or something down. Which eventually I'm gonna put pine wood floor in there, and then I'm gonna want a nice tiled hearth right there. And probably tile a rock on the back wall too. But for now, we're gonna just use this metal panel. We'll put like some wooden slats to push it away from the wall, so there's a space between the metal and the wall, and that metal should work pretty good on that wall, keep it from getting hot. But today I'm gonna do some gardening and then go down to the apple tree. I want to pick as many apples as I can reach with that apple picker and get them all bagged up, because I don't know, in the next like week or two those apples are gonna fall off the tree or get done. Heard a lot of animals in the woods last night. It was crazy. And something took a turd right in front of the canvas tent, which is crazy. But the moose are moving around making all kinds of calls. They're definitely in their mating season right now, so the moose are crazy. You don't want to bump into a bull moose right now. It'd be trouble. Look at how huge those pumpkins are. The can definitely puts it into better perspective. They're giant. I mean, that one is hard to carry, it's so heavy. It's got to be like 40 something pounds. I think I have a luggage scale somewhere. Maybe I can see if I can rig that up so I can lift that thing and see how much they are. I think it might lift that thing. Get a weight on her. But man, it's pretty big. Those ones are orange, and I accidentally cut a vine on one of the green ones, so we're gonna have one green one, but I left the vines on all the other ones. So let's go over there. Oh man, walking with the camera. Shaky, shaky. So that's the one that got cut off accidentally. There we go. The garden is all cleaned up for the most part. I harvested a couple ears of corn for tonight for dinner, and I left the broccolis because they're still kind of doing something. I left that kale. I cut the kale out of the other spot over by the greenhouse, so we're gonna leave that kale. A couple pumpkins here and there, and then all that's piled up. Now I just gotta cover that pile with some wood chips or something, and that should start breaking down and make some nice compost next year. Alright, down here at the apple tree, I got an Amazon box. And we're gonna try to find some of the nicest apples that we can get to with that picker.
See, I wanna harvest these while they're good before they fall on the ground. But at the same time, they're not like apples in the store. Like in the store, they spray the apples with a wax, and it keeps them from going soft or keeps them from losing their moisture. These obviously are natural, wild type apples, and I mean, the tree was cultivated at some point, I'm sure. But these apples will go bad after, like, depends on how warm it is. If it's really cold and you can keep them in the cold, then they'll last probably about a week and a half. If it gets really warm and they're not in refrigeration, they might only last like 5 or 6 days. So I don't want to pull them off too fast, but at the same time, we're getting to the end of the season for these apples, so they're going to be coming off the tree on their own. So we at least want to get the biggest, best ones. I'm eating about 4 apples a day and eating vegetables from the garden, and I haven't been to the store in over a week, and I need to go to the store, but I'm not going to go for a little while. I'm going to just eat meat-free, I guess, vegetarian, and eat the vegetables that I have right now from the garden. And then once my supplies are really low, then I'll go to the store, I guess. But, I mean, no point in going when I don't really have to. That's just gas and all kinds of extra money. I spend $100 every time I go down to town. It's 40 minutes each way, so that costs money. So we're gonna eat some apples. I gotta start picking these things.
There's a nice one. About as good as it gets. About as big as it gets too. Man, thing's huge. It's got some spots on the back. I usually avoid those areas, but that's a big, beautiful apple. Looking good. Well, that's a pretty good start. Man, that thing is just so big. Had to give up because I had to come back for some more zip ties because I broke the picker. So I might need to bring another bottle down there too. I don't know. Maybe just zip ties. I can probably fix that one. A good little crop of apples, but there's so many I can't reach with that picker, so I'm gonna look for a stick right now that's a little longer. I can get that a little bit longer of a picker put together. There's a bunch of really nice big apples real high up in the tree. Delicious. Look at that. Cabin looks beautiful with that big maple turning. It's crazy. Makes it look like it's on fire or something.
Well, I guess I might have a family member up tonight. We'll see if she actually shows up. My old mother, DEECEE, and she's gonna bring the generator that was in her basement, so I can have a generator to do a couple different things that I'm gonna have to do here. That's gonna involve power. I'm probably gonna have to run that thing for a week, and then I don't know if I'm gonna bring it back down home. I liked having it as a backup down at the house down in southern Maine. And if I keep it up here, someone will just end up stealing it or something during the winter. Man, this cabin looks crazy. Leaf foliage looks crazy. Every year. It's my favorite time of the year for sure. Hardly no mosquitoes. Still a lot of bugs out though. Just a lot of them aren't mosquitoes anymore. They're just like random weird bugs. Well, I just finally put the toilet seat in the cabin, in the outhouse that's down here by the cabin. So if my mother comes tonight, she doesn't have to travel up the road to go to the bathroom. She can just go right behind the cabin. So that outhouse is officially done. So that's 2 outhouses done. The cabin. The only thing that's left on our list is we got to put the chimney on this thing this week. So that's the plan.
Alright, went to town today. There's the mortar. And I have a 1/2-inch piece of plywood up in the shed. So that's all the stuff for the hearth. So we should be able to get this fireplace. We have everything. We should be able to get it all set up.
that is the next big project. Now that the shed is done, that was the big project. Now that that's done, I got a door from the neighbor today that we're gonna fit into the spot, and it does fit, but after measuring it, I realized he had a metal like front door with a window on it, and I didn't really want a window on it, but I'll just put a shade up. And I don't know, I think that metal door will probably be better looking and work better for the application on that shed. So I don't know, I'm gonna call the neighbor and see what he wants for the metal door that he had in his barn too. And I'll just keep this other one put to the side, because eventually we're gonna build other buildings, so we're gonna need doors. But I think that metal one would probably work better in the shed for this winter, of keeping all the rain and snow out of it. It has like, it's like a front door, so it has like stuff for sealing the edge, you know? Like this other door, there's gonna be a little bit of a gap, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna fill that. So some snow could get in there this winter and maybe cause some water damage. But I don't know, we'll see. Got a couple of logs for the fire tonight. Time to pull the car around. These pumpkins are still turning orange here, slowly but surely. So we'll keep those on. Man, everything else too looks crazy. Look at that canvas tent with all the leaf changeover. Beautiful little shack. Looking good. Looking epic. Looking like fall is fully underway. So I was hoping to put the door on this shed today, and then I was gonna call it a wrap on season 2, which is the summer at the 100-acre plantation. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna go get that metal door and see how that one fits. I think it'll look better. And then after I do that, I guess we'll close out this season. But this is the end of it. Fall starts tomorrow. So, seasons are just going by this year out here. It's been a lot of fun. It's been nice taking the year off to just hang out here. I'm glad I did. I've learned a lot about this property, and I've learned a lot about exactly what each season feels like, which I think is important. When you buy a property, it's good to know what you're dealing with there. I know how bad the mosquitoes actually get, and I know what time the black flies come out. I just know all this shit now, so by the time winter comes, all the years after this, I'm not gonna have to wonder, if I come at this time of year, what is it gonna be like? You know, because I spent the first season out here, the first year out here through all seasons, so I'll know. But I don't know, I probably won't stay the whole winter. I won't have enough firewood for one. I mean, I'm collecting it every day, but I still won't have enough for the whole winter. And it's just gonna be too cold with no internet or anything. I don't know, it'll just be too boring. I end up going insane. I'll get the cabin fever. So I'm gonna pass on that probably. Try to stay out here until December sometime, get through the hunting seasons, and then call it a winter. You know, I don't need to stay out here for the whole winter. Come back next spring. Leaf changeover is looking epic. Oh man, look at all those crazy trees. Looking cool. Well, I'll tell you what. If there's one thing my property definitely has good trees for, it's the leaf changeover. These white maples, or soft maples, I guess is what they call them, or white maple, I think is what they call them. I thought they were silver maples, but I guess the guys up here call them white maple. But as you can see, they all change crazy colors. I mean, that's like the best tree to have for color change, if you want crazy color change, and half of the trees on my property are that kind of tree. It also makes really good firewood. It burns pretty hot, not as hot as oak, but pretty hot. And in this one, it doesn't have tons of sugar in it. Like the sugar maple burns hot, but it leaves like a really dark, chunky ash. Well, these white these white maples just burn to a white powder ash, and there's almost no ash. Like all of it pretty much, you know, turns into dust and goes out the chimney. So, you know, when you're burning, you don't have to take the ash out as often, you know. So that's good too. So it's great firewood, and it has the best leaf changeover. So nice. Cooking some brats on the grill. It's probably one of the last fires. As soon as this can is done, I'm going to clean that grill and put it away for the season. So this might be the last time I use it.
Man, look at that guy. There's a big guy. Pretty patterns on her. Man, pretty sweet. But sadly I had to move this tarp that I had covering the wood chipper because, you know, soon the wood chipper is going to go in the shed. So I'm at least going to store it behind it for now till we're finished with it. And yeah, the spider was living under there. I'm just dragging this back. Well, just using a couple of the scrap 2x4s and some of the scrap 3/4 inch plywood with one of those extra roofing panels. So I'm going to put that all together, you know, there's a 2x4 under there, and this one's going to go right over here with the edges coming out, and then we're going to put the roofing panel on that, and then that way we can lean it up against the building here to cover a generator. So I don't use a generator very often, but there's a couple weeks a year I usually do, and it can't be in the building, so you gotta have a place to cover it. So I'm hoping this is gonna work. If not, I might have to make another side, make an A-frame, and make its own little building, but I think it'll work. I think if I put 2 stakes in the ground and lean it against the building, that'll work just fine. Keep the generator out of the rain. Alright, there we go. I don't know, maybe I'll pitch it out a little bit more so there's a little more room under there. But that should be pretty good. And since it's under the overhang, it shouldn't get water all the way at the top. So that should do pretty fine when it's raining out here. Don't have to worry about my generator being in the rain. Probably cut this board too, maybe cut it down so it fits in there. Just to the size of the generator. Although that is wood, so I don't know. Maybe you don't want to put wood under the generator. I'll have to look at it and see if the exhaust or anything could get anywhere near the wood. I don't think it could. Probably just as safe as putting it on dry grass, I'd imagine. So, probably cut a piece of that out and put it in there. That way it can sit on a flat surface. But that worked pretty good, and I can move that around. But once I get it in a position where I think it's going to be the position I'm going to keep it in while I run this thing the next couple weeks, I'll probably sink a couple eye hooks in there and then zip tie the eye hooks to that thing or something like that maybe. I don't know. I'm going to put 2 stakes at the bottom too so it can't kick out on us. But I might want to secure that to the building somehow too, just so if it's really windy, it gets pretty crazy windy out here. But that works pretty good. Good use for one of those panels. I still got 2 more left. The lady ordered a couple extra for me because she knew I was using them for outhouses and stuff. But I got 2 more left, so we'll use those for something. Doing a little open fire cooking tonight. We're gonna fry up some hamburger and cook some pasta shells. I'm gonna start eating a lot more pasta and dried food, so I don't have to leave camp so much anymore now that the weather's changing. And once winter comes, anytime I spend here during the winter, it's, you know, you're not gonna want to drive around here. The roads get really bad up here. But tomorrow is day 150. So 150 nights in the canvas tent. Pretty crazy. But definitely getting to the point where I'm gonna be done with that canvas tent here soon. Sometime in the next couple days we're gonna drill the hole. Well, we're gonna build the hearth. Actually, yeah, we gotta build that hearth tomorrow actually, because
That's gonna probably take 4 or 5 days to dry, especially since the weather's been so bad. I'm gonna mix the cement really dry. Alright, YouTubers, there it is. Ta-da! There's the shed, all done. Got that door for free from one of the neighbors up the road, and it's in pretty rough condition, but it'll work for now. And over the winter, when I get back to civilization, I'm gonna have a door made that is already hung and fits in that doorway. That's like a security door, like a metal one, you know, like a real exterior door. But this will be good for this winter, and at least we have a place now to put all of our stuff. That's that little metal roofing thing we made. It's just a piece of plywood, a couple 2x4s, and a piece of metal roofing, and it's perfect. Last night it rained really hard, and that generator didn't get a single drop on it. So that way we can keep the generator and the gas for it outside of the shed and not be running that in there, you know. It'll make it smell like exhaust in there, and you can't be inside an enclosed area with a generator running. So there it is. That's the end of season 2 of the 100-acre plantation off-grid project, and that's the end of the summer in the state of Maine. We're 2 days into fall right now, and this is my favorite time of the year. So look forward to season 3, because season 3 is going to be fall, which basically we're done with all the work from the year. We still got to install that chimney. I have all the stuff to do it, but I'm going to build the hearth and install the chimney, and hopefully I'll put a video together. It's hard filming when you're trying to get stuff like that done, but you know, I'll put a small video together of the hearth and chimney and cutting the hole and putting the whole stove in, and that I'll probably include that in season 3 too, because it's gonna be season 3 when we get to it, because I'm still trying to finish everything up here. But now pretty much everything's done, so season 3 is gonna consist of still chopping firewood. I'm gonna keep on doing that constantly until the snow. And season 3 though is fall, and fall is hunting season in Maine, and it's already started. Duck season just started 2 days ago, and goose season has already started, but the early season ended, and there's a week in between, or 2 weeks before the regular season, but that starts on the 1st of October, which is in like a week. And grouse starts the 1st of October, pheasant and what they call partridge or rough grouse, and then in November is deer season. So and it's bear season right now. It's been bear season since August, and it goes until the beginning of November sometime. Yeah, until November 1st, right before deer season starts, and then they stop hunting bear. They don't hunt them at the same time. So there you go. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. And that's season number 2 in summer in Maine. So thanks for watching.